And in our neighborhood, we used to play touch rugby with the Bata slipper and things like that. So that was the initial kind of steps, the baby steps at the beginning. And Changfa kept taking him amazing, because he used to tackle by the ankle. He used to take off and hit you by the ankles. And it was the best Sri Lankan in terms of tackling. Before I move on, maybe I should mention the names of that 73, the team that played in the final. As I said, that's never been done before. And I remember TMK Samat asking, is Coomaraswamy a tourist? Why does he kind of zoom in and get picked like this? It ended up with one of our senior personnel emptying a glass of beer over the head of the referee in the evening.
Voices of the Golden Era. Preserving identity, powering progress.
Welcome to Kandy Times. Kandy Times is marking a very historical day. The figure that we have today is a very distinguished and an integrity figure, Dr. Indrajit Coomaraswamy, who's going to be with us for the Voices of the Golden Era segment. So welcome, Dr. Coomaraswamy, to Kandy Times. So, Dr. Coomaraswamy began his journey at Royal College but went on to England and started his rugby career in England, and later came back and captained and played for CRNFC, also captained and led the national team, where he showed great passion and grit for the game. He's educated at the Cambridge University as well as the University of Sussex, and made a name in the Commonwealth Secretariat in London as well as the Central Bank in Sri Lanka. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Coomaraswamy, the 14th Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, to Kandy Times.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be with you and talk to you. Look forward to our conversation.
So, Dr. Coomaraswamy, this we never envisioned when we started this that we will be interviewing a profound figure like you here at this segment. So, it is definitely an honor to have you. So, I'm sure everybody knows about your professional career, but I think few know about your rugby career. So, you started at Royal College, then went to England, came back. So, can we go through your journey from moving to London, then coming back and playing for CRNFC?
My initial exposure to rugby came when my uncle, Satik Marasamy, my father's brother, took me to watch CRNFC rugby matches when I was 8, 9, 10, that kind of age group. He actually captained Ceylon as it was then at cricket. So he was an outstanding cricketer, but he had a bit of a passion for rugby as well, though he didn't play it. So he used to take me to these matches, which kindled a real interest in the game for me. And in our neighborhood, we used to play touch rugby with the Bata slipper and things like that. So that was the initial kind of steps, the baby steps at the beginning. But then when I went across to England, the school I was at Harrow School, everybody in the winter, everybody had to play some rugby. Okay. So when you first joined the school, usually at the age of 13 and a half, so you play under 14 rugby, and each house, there were 10 houses, each house had a rugby team. So that's how you started playing house rugby. And when I was asked what position, because I'd never played formal rugby, so I didn't know what position was suitable for me or anything like that. But when I was asked what position I would like to play, I was influenced by two people. One was the great Sari Silva, and when we went to England in 1961, but every other year we used to come back on home leave, my father's home leave. And so in 63 and 65, etc. In 63, when I joined school in England, I had just come to Sri Lanka and watched the CI and had seen Sari Silva in his heyday. He was magnificent. In my view, arguably the best kind of rugby. Of course, it's difficult to compare positions, but I would say Sari was a towering rugby figure. So the fact that he played flanker influenced me. And I also had an uncle, Ratna Sivaratnam, who was managing director of 18 Spence, captain Royal College. And he also played for CR and was a flanker. So the fact that these two people both played flanker kind of inspired me to want to play in the same position. So when they asked me what position do you play, I said flanker, and that's how my rugby kind of career started. Playing flanker in the house team at Harrow School, and then I was able to play in the under 14 team, and I went up the age group and played for the school. So I played under 14, under 16, and first 15. And our age group actually was a particularly strong one. Just so happened, that cohort. And we were unbeaten right through, through under 14, under 16. And then in the first 15, we lost one game. The year we were all together. So it was, Harrow is a reasonably strong, has a strong rugby. It has the current England captain. Maro Itoje is an old Harrowian. And it's had a couple of other people in the England side recently as well. Billy Vunipola, Arundel, who plays on the wing. So it has a strong rugby background. And so I got a good grounding in the game. And then after that, in 1969, when I was finishing school, between school and university, I came back here for 6 months. In that time, I got an opportunity to play for CRNFC. So 69 was the first season I played for CR. And I was very fortunate in that year, the Bosons toured Sri Lanka. It was a very strong side, had several internationals. And I got the opportunity to play for Sri Lanka. That was obviously I was just out of school, and to get this kind of opportunity was and for me, it was absolutely extraordinary experience. And the other wing forward was a guy called Maurice Mariner, an Australian. And the late, great Keith Paul was the number 8, so that was the back row. And the captain was Jeff Ratnam. And, some of the great names of Sri Lankan rugby were in that team.
Okay.
And so to rub shoulders, and the late Nittawela who was the scrum half. So lots of, YC Chang, Haji Oma, Bumpy Jayasekara, Menda Mendes, Adi Ratnapala, then the three of us in the back row, then Dendil Kobakadua, and Omar Sharif was fly half, and Jeff Ratnam and Changfa, Kandy.
And from Anthony.
The most lethal tackler I think Sri Lanka has ever produced. And opposite him in the Bosun side was John Spencer, who went on to captain England. And Changfa kept taking him amazing, because he used to tackle by the ankle. He used to take off and hit you by the ankles.
Okay.
And he was the best Sri Lankan in terms of tackling. And then the wingers, I think, were Larry Shockman on one wing and Selva Kanagasali on the other. And the fullback was the mercurial John Burrows. So this was the 15 that played against the Bosons. And so that was my first kind of experience of playing for the national team. Then I went back to university. From 69 to 72, I was not in the country.
Okay.
I went back to university, finished university. And at university, I played in, I was nowhere near the Blues team, the first 15. But I did play in what they call the freshman first 15,
Okay.
first years. I played in that. And then after that, I played for my college, Emmanuel, which was a strong team and had amongst its ranks, I overlapped with him for 2 years with the great Gerald Davis, who was a British Lion and a wing 3/4. So again, it was pretty good rugby. Then when having finished university, I came back and joined the CR and played for the CR. I was lucky that just after I came back in 72, I got again picked to play for the Sri Lanka team. And I hadn't played in the season. I played one President's 15 match in Kandy against the London Welsh who were touring.
Okay.
and then got picked. And I remember TMK Samat asking, is Coomaraswamy a tourist? Why does he kind of zoom in and get picked like this? Very legitimate question. But anyway, I got the opportunity to go to Hong Kong with the 72 squad, captained by YC Chang. And we did okay. We beat Malaysia, and we should have beaten Singapore. It was unfortunate. It ended up with one of our senior personnel emptying a glass of beer over the head of the referee in the evening. So I can understand what we felt about the refereeing in that game. So yeah, that was great. I think the coach was Nimal Marlanda, and the manager was Mahesh Rodrigo, and we had this wonderful squad. Really, lots of the legends. And then came back and played for the CR till 77.
Okay.
And then, of course, in 74, we had the Asia again, this time in Sri Lanka. Mr. SP Pilapitia was the manager, again, a Kandy connection. And Bertie Dias, again, Trinitian, was the coach. So there was a strong Kandy connection in the management structure of the squad. And I must say, it was a wonderful experience, that whole kind of period where we had the Asia, it was in Sri Lanka, Colombo. But the squad of 23 were taken off to Nittawela on a residential camp. I don't think that's ever been done before or since, where we all went up there. And this was a difficult time, 1974. There were a lot of shortages in the country. We had a lot of exchange controls, import controls, all kinds of things. And despite that, we were taken there, fed superbly, and we trained, right through and up in the hills. And in that time, there was a tremendous bond built within the squad, because we were living together and practicing together. And of course, there were great characters in that squad. One of whom you interviewed this morning, which is Boga Gunasekara. And then we had other characters, included people like Maya and Maya Gunasekara, whom you also interviewed, and Gavin Stevens, the late Gavin Stevens. So, I mean, Shafi Jainuddin, and the late Shafi Jainuddin. So there are lots of real characters who kept the whole squad in good spirit, in great spirits, I would say. And the bonding that took place over those 2 weeks served us very well. I think it was a major contributory factor in the fact that we reached the final that year, because it really brought us together and got us really fit. And of course, we played all our matches at 2:30 in the afternoon to give the opposition a little bit of experience of our heat. And then we got to the final.
Hearing those names, Doctor, I think we also wish that we could be there during that time, because these are names that keep coming up in all the interviews. So you have had a superb team with you. Doctor, I would like to know, I don't think anybody will expect a centre back governor to be playing rugby. So how did rugby support you in your transition into economics and being the governor and holding such elite positions? Did that support you? How did that affect your life?
Okay. Before I move on, maybe I should mention the names of that 73, the team that played in the final. Because as I said, that's never been done before or since. So at prop forward, we had M.F. Fernando from the Army. The hooker was Rodrigo from the Army. And the loose head prop was Haji Umar, literally a legend, a massive, massive figure in Sri Lankan rugby. He was the loose head prop. And the two second rowers were Maya Gunsekara and Lanil Tendakon. And the back row was Jeffrey De Jong, old Peterite, Jeffrey Yu, old Trinitian, and myself. And Handel Samad, the mercurial Handel Samad, was scrum half. Hafi Abdin at fly half. The legendary Didacus de Almeida as one center. Omar Sharif as the other. Reggie Bartholomew was as the right wing. And Mahesh Sabaratnam, again a Kandy man, on the left wing. And Charles Vijay-Wardner, the late Charles Vijay-Wardner, was the fullback. So that was the team that were on the field. And there were, outstanding players in the squad. We had a squad of 23, like Harinder Gunasekara, Jay Rodriguez, Anton Benedict, Nimal Malagamua, Kunadasa from the army, Jainuddin Shafi. So, we was a squad of 23. And I think I should mention them individually because it's a remarkable achievement to have got to that final and not something that we have come close to doing since. I must be honest and say that the draw helped us. But despite that, we had to get on the field and win the matches. And the team played really well. As I said, they were super committed. The spirit was very strong. As I said, the bonding after the residential camp was at a peak. So it was a fabulous experience, one of the best experiences of my life, that whole campaign of the 74 Asiad. And we got tremendous support from the SLRFU. Mr. Pilapitya, SP Pilapitya, was a strict disciplinarian, but gave us absolute support when we needed it. And of course, he became Brigadier, eventually Brigadier Bertie Dias was our coach. It was it's important that I mention those names because they are all legends and their achievement has not been surpassed. Actually, a great deal because rugby, probably of all sports, I'm biased obviously because I played rugby, but I think of all sports, it probably breeds camaraderie and team spirit more than others because it's such a physical sport and a team sport. I mean, maybe boxing is a more physical sport, but then you do it on your own. It is a strong physical. You go out and play a very physical game, and the guys who are by your side need to be equally committed for you to get the good outcomes. So it breeds this whole teamwork and team spirit, which is appropriate in all walks of life and is important in all walks of life to have success. So rugby is a good kind of breeding ground for people to get the right kind of values in terms of working as a team and having a common goal. And also training hard and working hard. Because if you're not fit, you can't play the game properly. So this whole thing about preparation also, again, is a good lesson for the other walks of life as well. So, and probably, particularly because I was fortunate to get the opportunity to captain teams, I learned more from captaining rugby and cricket teams than I did from my PhD, I think. In terms of life and getting through life, in terms of work, in terms of getting through work, the lessons you learn on the rugby and cricket fields are invaluable, better than at Cambridge or Sussex or anywhere else. Clearly, those are very important too. But this gives you really real insight into dealing with people, particularly if you have to captain the team. So to answer your question, yes, rugby played an invaluable role in terms of helping me grow as a person, to acquire the right kind of values and the attitudes which were necessary to get through life.
That's a great insight, Doctor, to know that through rugby, you have learned. See, a PhD, yes, gives you knowledge, no doubt about it. Education does, no doubt about it. But to live life and to be with other people and also to face challenges, how are you going to do that? So that all comes from playing a sport, and especially a sport like rugby, like you said, where there is a lot of teamwork, dedication, and hard work involved. Doctor, I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of people that look up to you and would say that you are a mentor and a role model. But who made you who you are today? That is what I want to know. Like, who did you, Dr. Indrajit Coomaraswamy, look up to?
I guess probably the person who has had the biggest influence on my life. This is a real cliche and it sounds a bit corny, but it's probably my wife, Tara. She had been a massive support. She's taken care of everything at home in terms of looking after the kids, their education, and even our everyday living. I was hopeless. I did very little. Her values, I mean, she's been a massive inspiration. So I've got to say that up front. In terms of sport, I take rugby and cricket, but both those things I was keen on. Uh, the rugby player who I probably um, emulated, as I said, was Sari Silva was one, as a Sri Lankan. Amongst the international players, there was a flanker, a Maori flanker who played for New Zealand called Waka Nathan. And I went to England to go to boarding school in 1963. And in 1963, the New Zealand All Blacks were touring the British Isles, captained by, again, a legendary captain, Wilson Winnere. And Waka Nathan was the flanker. And he was dynamic, absolutely dynamic. And then subsequently, he actually coached the Maori team and became a legend, All Black legend. So he kind of was an inspirational figure. And really, many of my teammates, were in Maya Gunasekara, who became a surgeon as well as being an outstanding rugby player. I think one could make a very strong argument at that time that he was probably the best line-out forward in Asia. And those days you were not lifted, right? You had to jump off your own accord. And he was an outstanding exponent of the line-out. Handel Samad in his prime was a magnificent player. Haji Omar as a prop. I mean, I shouldn't single people out because all of them, they were very good people. And I was inspired by my teammates often, actually. Both at the CR and nationally. In terms of, so that's my Wakanadan, Sari Silva, I would say international, local, as terms of inspiration on the rugby field. Cricket, I think the person who inspired me most was Sir Garfield Sobers in terms of the international scene. And on the cricket field, I would say probably Muralidharan, simply because of his record, a phenomenal record, which is difficult to foresee anybody breaking it. And Aravinda as a batsman. I know, Kumar Sangakkara, Mahalo, all of them are wonderful players. But I think Aravinda was probably, and from my time, there were people like Andrew Tennakoon and Michael Tissera who were fine players, Roy Dias. But Aravinda, for me, was probably, when he was focused and playing seriously, particularly after his spell with Kent as a professional, he became, in my view, the best all-round batsman. So those are the people I got inspired by watching them. In terms of economics and central banking, locally, the present governor, I think, is doing an excellent job. He was senior deputy governor in the time I was in the central bank, and I learned a lot from him, and he was a tremendous source of support. And the other person was probably Mr. A.S. Javodna, who was also governor. He had a tremendous record of public service. He was secretary to the Plantation Commission under Sir Colvin R. De Silva. He was secretary to the Ministry of Industries. He was secretary to the Treasury. I think he was chairman Bank of Ceylon, and he was governor Central Bank. He had held all those positions, and he was an outstanding governor of the Central Bank. A very good economist. So he was one locally. And another local economist who I had enormous respect for was Dr. W.M. Tilakaratne. I was seconded from the central bank to the finance ministry from 1982 to 1988 for about 6-7 years, and he was Secretary of the Treasury most of the time. Again, one learnt a great deal from him. Utter professional, tremendous integrity, and great technical knowledge. And we learned by just working with him was a tremendously important learning experience. So that's local. I mean, globally, I would say in terms of people who have inspired me, I think Mandela was certainly. I was working in the Commonwealth at that time, Commonwealth Secretariat, and when he was freed, and the Commonwealth played an important role in getting his release, and it's an extraordinary. I mean, I think people know his life story and the journey he traveled. So it's an extraordinary story of commitment, of integrity, of forgiveness, really, after what he went through, and yet to then come out and focus on reconciliation in the way he did. So that was an inspiring journey to be inspired by. So those are some of the people, I guess, who in economics, my thinking probably was influenced most by Lord Keynes, John Maynard Keynes, who was at King's College, Cambridge, and then served the UK government at the time of the Bretton Woods Conference, which set up the IMF and the World Bank. He was also there, I think, at the end of the First World War, when the final treaties were signed in terms of the economic reparations. And he argued strongly for again forgiveness, and he felt that if Germany was pushed too far, that it would rise up again in a negative way, and that's what happened. He was not for the final outcome after the Second World War. So those are some names, yeah. I have some local, some foreign.
Doctor, it's inspiring to know that even by watching youngsters younger to you, that you have been inspired in your life, like people like Aravinda, Muralidhara, they're way younger to you, but still you get inspiration from them. So that is, I think, a good point for a good leader and educator as well. So I'm pretty sure you must be having good memories during your rugby career, especially in Sri Lanka, and especially having people like YC Chang and Dr. Maya Gunasekar in your side, because whenever we hear any funny stories or up to no good, Mr. YC Chang has been part of it. So, would you like to take us through some of the memories that you have that didn't go up in the papers? That you would like to share your memories?
Well, after I stopped playing, I coached Thurston College, and they used to use the CRNFC grounds for their practices. So I used to go down and try to coach them. My Sinhala is pretty appalling, and so is my Tamil for that matter. So anyway, when I was coaching, it was a Singlish that was spoken by me anyway. And some of my teammates, because they came to practice after the Thurston College practice finished, they sit and come a bit early to listen to me coaching. So there are all kinds of stories about my Sinhala. So that's there. But the one story is that I think it was my friend Malik Samavik or somebody anyway asked one of the Thurston College players. So, Sir Kohmad, he had that Sir Nang Rattarang Sir Connect. By Monake and all that. So that was my coaching career with Thurston. And there are all kinds of stories people have made up. Not some of them can't be repeated, I'm afraid, because of again my Sinhala. And I would say things which were, in my view, and from what I intended to say, quite clean and I think reasonable, but people have twisted it because of my pronunciation into some absurd things. So there are a lot of stories about me and my singular on the rugby in the rugby arena, and the other thing was, during that residential camp, I mean, it was crazy. The guy, the amount they played, they trained very hard, but then in the evening it was crazy. There was Bertie Dias had this quota. He said you can have 2 drinks. So there was one group in the squad who called themselves the Laughing Quotas. And Boga and Andrew Samad, Jainuddin, Gavin Stevens, those were some of them in that group, some of the people in that group. And they, I mean, one occasion, the Gavin Stevens was covered in talcum powder and he did a Kavali dance, which was, and they sent him a letter, allegedly from a girl, to come and meet at a particular place. And then they went and watched, but the poor fellow went and was disappointed. So, I mean, there it's heaps of things. I remember when we went to Hong Kong, Balasuriya brothers, 2 of them, Mohan and Roy were both in the Sri Lanka squad. One as hooker and the other as center. And Maya, I think, telephoned him and said, by the way, at 4:30 this afternoon, you have to get into your full kit with blazer and everything, because there is going to be a formal occasion. And of course, these 2 guys got all kitted out, came down to the hotel lobby for whatever the occasion was supposed to be, and there was no such occasion at all. So there was a lot of ragging that went on. Yeah, not all of it is mentionable.
Understood, doctor. I think the face says it all. Not all of it is mentionable, yes. And I think we should understand that. Doctor, you have, when talking to you, we realize that you have enjoyed playing rugby, especially. So, given a chance, will you play the game back if you were able to play again? And to which team would you play for? And who would your dream team be?
First, yeah, that part of it, there's no difference. I would love to again go back and play for the Sri Lankan FC. That is undoubted. In my mind, that's very clear. But yeah, and I love the game, and I'd like to play it again. I'd do it again. Though I must say, the game today is much tougher. People are much stronger. And my wife wasn't keen on our 2 sons playing. In a way, I half kind of sympathize with that, because it is a much harder game these days. But certainly I would do it again, I must say, for sure. Sri Lanka dream team, if I start with fullback, probably Lionel Almeida at fullback, and probably Majid and Reggie Bartholomew as wingers, Didakasi Almeida as one center, and Changfa, particularly if you're playing against a foreign team, Changfa as the other center for tackling. Jagat Fernando as fly half. Very difficult to pick between Handil Samad and Ronald Rodrigo at scrum half. Number 8, probably Saman Jayasinghe. Keith Paul and Saman Jayasinghe. Flankers, Hafi Abdeen as one, and probably Angelo Wickramaratne. Then in the second row, Lanil Tenakon and Maya Gunasekara. Front row, Hadi Uma. And tight head. I think that the Asiad team, MF Fernando and Rodrigo, they were very, very tough. Both were wrestlers. They hadn't played any rugby when they joined the army. They both were in the army. They were both wrestlers who converted to rugby. and very tough. So I think I put those two guys, a good couple of guys to have to go into battle with. Yeah,
Right.
as hooker and tight head prop.
Thank you, Doctor. So, lastly, I would like to know from being a pure polymath of pure excellence, Sri Lankan excellence, what would be the advice you give the youngsters today? How do you balance your sports, your work, and your life? How do you do that?
The first thing to say is I think it's good not to be focused only on your books, because as I said, from my own personal experience, I learned as many, if not more, lessons on the playing field than I did from universities or schools. Uh, and the second thing is really preparation, whether it's preparation for your studies and exams or whether it's training for your sport, that is crucial. In fact, there's a famous saying, this more applies to cricket. They say the harder I practice, the luckier I get. And that I think is a very good insight. So I would say get interested in a broad range of things because you can learn lessons from all aspects of life, sport, studies, everything. Um, whatever you do, prepare very carefully. Uh, practice or train or study. Uh, and then really there should be a commitment to a spirit of excellence. That whatever you do it as well as possible. I think that's critical. And, the other values like integrity and honesty, etc., also kind of feed through um, in terms of your journey. Uh, but having very, very committed um, goal to doing the very best at all times. And to understand also that in most circumstances, you can't do things on your own. You need to be part of a team. You need to understand how best to contribute to the team. And that's critical, pretty much all aspects of life. The sum of the parts should be greater than the whole. So those are some of the lessons, and the commitment that you should have a kind of a larger commitment, not just to your job or your institution or your particular sport. I think if you have a feel for where your institution or your sport fits into your society and how you can contribute to grow it and to push it along in the right direction, that's also useful to think about in terms of the perspectives that guide you in terms of how you conduct yourself.
That's great insight, Doctor. I think you mentioned before also the bonding that supported that national team that went into the Asians. So, bonding, teamwork, no man is an island. You need teams to support you, anybody in life, and also you thanking your wife, thinking of her also as a mentor and a role model who supported you in your career. So that is very important to know that some of these people that are in our lives not may not outshine us or may not have sparkling titles or things like that, but they support you anyway to be who you are today. So that's great insight, the teamwork, looking at everybody, even if they're younger to you or older to you, that's all important. So thank you very much. I think this has been a very fruitful interview, and it has been an honor to be with you here today. A person that, again, I must say, never thought we would think would be here at Candy Times. So thank you again, Doctor, and hope you will succeed in everything you do.
Thank you again for inviting me. It's been a pleasure, and I hope I've what I've said is of some use. Thank you.
Definitely, Doctor. With some things that you said, I think even here at Candy Times learned, because you said you gave us a important point where you said, don't think of what you are doing only for yourself, but to look at how we improve society. So at Candy Times, we try so hard to work for the development of Sri Lankan rugby, uh, and also to help the society through that. So thank you again. So to the audience, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe our channel, like and share. That will definitely support us. And if you want to support further, please, we have the link in the bio, buy me a coffee. So you can go to that and see to it. Thank you very much.